I'd like to say good evening, everyone. We now call to order the ARB meeting for the Culpeper County Planning Commission. And the approval of the agenda is the first order of business here. Wait a minute, not for the work session. We don't have to, I mean, not the work session, but we don't have to do that for the ARB. So the first item on the agenda, we turn it over to Neil.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We have Rabbit Run Data Center, ARB review. It's an application by Bowler Engineering, care of Cody Mudd, for a certificate of appropriateness as required by Article 30 of the zoning ordinance for the design of a data center campus within the entrance overlay corridor district in accordance with Article 30-3-2.1. The property zone, as you can see on the board, light industrial, and is located along James Madison Highway 29 and in the Stevensburg Magisterial District. It's found on tax map 51, parcels 83 and 83B. And Route 3 there on the screen, I'm sure you're all familiar with this intersection. Route 3 comes into the town. That is in the corridor as well. So we have two road frontages on the corridor. In purple there, surrounding to the northeast and southeast is light industrial. Where the cursor is right now is a current data center that's been there for some time. Within the town, you have the campus for Swift, what's known as Swift. Across Route 3 is mini storage, and there's future planned residential on the other quadrant of the intersection. If you'll indulge me, I'll just read a paragraph from the code about, I won't read you the intent, but basically in making a determination as to consistency with the design guidelines, the Architectural Review Board may specify any architectural feature as to appearance, such as, but not limited to, motif and style, color, texture, and materials together with configuration, orientation, and other limitations as to mass, shape, and height and location of the buildings and structures, location and configuration of parking areas, and landscaping and buffering requirements to the extent such practices are authorized by the adopted design guidelines without regard to regulations underlying the zoning district regulations of Article 20 of this ordinance. However, and I'll note, however, the Architectural Review Board must balance their design decisions with the economic realities of those decisions, and the Architectural Review Board may waive any of the adopted design guidelines at their discretion. Such a waiver must be justified due to the cost or some other unique circumstances for hardship. And I won't drone on, Mr. Chairman, but I will note that this application, you can go ahead to the next one, Chris. You can see their concept plan that was submitted. There are two buildings. They are under the district height limit. I believe they come in at around 61 feet, where 75 is allowed, so they're under that limit. They're obviously data centers, and massing is a large concern here, as you've seen with other applications recently. And the applicants tried to mitigate this with screening that is more robust than the required screening within the landscaping ordinance. There are some grade separations. There's not quite pronounced berms, as with your last application up the road. Those berms were proffered, so there is some discretion there, but it's not as much of a issue in my mind. I hate to be vague about that. If you know where I'm going from, I guess the height of the berms shouldn't be such a discussion as it was last time, because this was not proffered. This is a by right, already zoned site, and it is under the third review for the site plan. And you give me another one, Chris. This is the actual page from the latest submission of the site plan. And I just want you to note that, if you approve the landscaping and the configuration, this landscaping, this will be made part of, the site plan approval. And this is a precursor to final site plan approval, and that's why, we're before you here today. And The applicant is present, and I'll turn it over to them because they're the ones that have the prettier slides, so.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, at this time, I ask the applicant or representative come up and give your full name for the record, please.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Cody Mudd with Bowler Engineering. I'm the project manager that's running the site plan through in collaboration with Neil and the county. I think, yeah, so I'm here to talk about Rabbit Run Technology Park. Go to the next slide. Neil went through the project specifics here in terms of the parcel and that sort of thing. So it's a 2-building campus. These are 2-story buildings. They are under the height threshold requirement. They were strategically placed on site to be really set into the site as much as possible. They are intentionally facing the opposite direction with, like, from Germanna Highway with any type of mechanical equipment or things of that nature. We do have kind of a service road that's already existing in the form of Rabbit Run. So we don't have direct access on Germanna, so vehicles would not be, pulling directly out of the street. It's a single entrance, secure entrance campus. And it is kind of in line with some of the adjacent parcels being industrial and kind of wrapping the site here. Go to the next slide. So like Neil mentioned, we are being very intentional about wrapping landscaping around the parcel boundary. You can see along Germanna, not only we're adding additional landscaping, but actually the entire development's a little bit set back from the property line itself. There is, from the edge of pavement of Germanna into the property line, there's approximately, it varies, but between 20 and 30 feet, and then you've got another 20 and 30 feet before we even start doing our proposed landscape buffering. And then you've got a pretty significant landscape buffering there. That's fully enclosed along that Germanna frontage and continues to wrap around the Rabbit Run side. Rabbit Run being another access road down there, and then that is actually offset from James Madison Highway as well. So this kind of shows the intent, the arrangement of the campus and kind of the direction of really the operations of the buildings with the mechanical equipment facing here on Plan East, which is about northeast. And then everything really is going to be from an architectural perspective. You would see like really the facade. You're not going to see any of this mechanical equipment or loading docks or anything of that nature. So here's some elevations. This highlights kind of the aesthetic that we're going for with the building. You can see how, the facade is intentionally broken up to make sure it's not one, boring faced building. It's kind of hard to read here on this slide, but there are different elevations here, and we allude to like the different material types and things of that nature. I do have representation from the architectural team here, should you have any questions. We'll keep going through here. Here are some of the materials I mentioned. It's just different finishes and material types as labeled on the previous slide. There you go. That was good, the next one. Yeah, that's good. This gives you a little bit of a perspective. So you can see even the mechanical equipment, we are intending to screen that. So we're really shielding all of the mechanical equipment as much as possible. Even on the roofs, any rooftop equipment will have parapets and things of that nature. So you're not going to see any of that from a view shed perspective. That in combination with the landscape screening, we can demonstrate you're not going to be able to visibly see anything that from the roadways or anything of that nature. And then this is a more illustrative rendering, but it is representative of the proposed development. So this is kind of imagining from Germanna. You can kind of see a little image there, but imagining from Germanna Highway looking back across towards the highway there. You can see the landscape buffering around the sides here, and then out on the far side of this image is that access drive of Rabbit Run, all the way looking down overlooking the highway there. But this is the general aesthetic we're looking for with the site. It's another perspective of the main entrance here. This is the access off of Rabbit Run, which immediately goes into the secure facility entrance over there on the left. There's another access drive that ultimately gets you down to the stormwater management ponds for maintenance and access purposes. But otherwise, Rabbit Run continues as a parallel track off to the right. This is, again, just another perspective. This is more of like a ground level view here. This is within the campus. If I'm not mistaken, this is actually from the kind of the same Germana corner that we looked at from the original, but it's more of a ground view. So this would be, if you're leaving the town and going towards the main highway, this would be kind of the corner of the building that you would theoretically see if you could peek through the trees. So maybe in winter time or something of that nature, this would be the corner you would see. And then this is just a photometric plan we have included here. We are following all codes and regulations with the photometric plan. Again, because of the nature of our campus being pretty well set back from the property boundaries, we're able to keep the light level low as they approach the property lines and to a minimal. And then within the campus, still comply with all the codes and regulations there. You can skip it. This is just zoomed in for every page. It's light pole specifications. You can skip this one. Oh, that's it. Okay. That's all we got. Do you want to take any questions?
Sure. Yes. You didn't think you were just gonna run through those. That was it. Okay. Yes, Lance.
All right, so first question, can you go back to the landscaping plan for a second? And just show that for a second. I guess my question is that there looks to be in the back a gap. Where is that because there's an access road back there? You can't get get trees in there, or what was the? Because I noticed in the illustrative it looked like there were actually trees shown in that.
Yeah, so there actually is, there's kind of a green fade on top of this, but there actually is a lot of existing vegetation that is going to remain. And that's mainly because around our northern property boundary and around that rear side, on that other data center site, which is on the right for, well, it's on the right for all of us. It's on the eastern side. There's actually a little stream waterway there. It's not a significant stream, but we're not intending to disturb that, and we'll retain existing vegetation along that streamway. So that little waterway actually carries water from across Germana through a culvert and then along our northern property boundary. So again, you can see we're not developing all the way out to the property line. You can kind of see it through the aerial image there. There's a significant portion of existing vegetation back there that will remain. And then it's specifically on that eastern side and some of those gaps we can look into. The potential to add additional landscaping there.
Yeah, I was just wondering. I didn't see like the existing tree canopy or anything like that shown on there.
Yeah, it doesn't show.
But it did show on the illustrative. Can you go back to the illustrative that you had?
Yeah, so this would be overlooking kind of, you can see around our pond and then around to that other side, that data center on the far side. There is a what I'll call a strip of trees in that area that will remain because it's on the opposite side of that stream.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I guess I would just make sure it's shown on the site plan or whatever you're going to do there. Then,
Okay.
if you go to that other illustrative right there, the other concern I would have is, and I don't know if you ran a site distance profile at that entrance, and making sure, because it looks like the trees are kind of forward, so you might have to drop some of those trees around the curb returns to make sure you can get site distance looking to the left.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And this plan is been through multiple rounds of review with our site plan already and with VDOT as well. So we are establishing those sight lines and make sure those trees are strategically placed to avoid that.
Yeah, otherwise you just have to limb them up or do something else with it.
Right.
And then the other question is if you go back to the site plan sheets or the concept plans, are there power line easements or any kind of existing easements that run along parallel to Rabbit Run? The reason I ask is you wouldn't want to have the trees inside the existing easements typically. Yeah,
not within our property boundary, and we don't intend to install any new power lines. There are existing power lines within our property along Germana. Those are Dominion maintained and owned, unrelated. Like we're not touching them with our application. But no, everything with this application in terms of power will be underground.
Okay. So on the existing condition survey, there's no existing easements or anything like that?
No, there's some small service lines that extend out into the middle of the parcel that are being vacated and removed.
I got you. And then on the outside of the building, you're gonna have pack lights or something along those
Wall
lines?
packs, yeah.
Okay. And then any signage on the exterior of the building?
Not at the moment, we're not.
Won't be any lit signing that
No.
you'll see from the road or anything?
No, not at the
Okay.
moment.
That's the questions I had. Thank you.
Okay, Rick?
Sir, it's a couple questions. Neil, you put in the, here we have something from the ordinance that says roof structures which are mechanical in nature shall be concealed by exterior architectural material of the same type of quality as that used in the walls. But you're proposing different material to close in the rooftop, is that correct?
The facade itself of the main building is comprised of a multitude of different materials. We do show that on those elevations, and really it's to give it a little bit more character. In terms of on the roof and the parapet, the nature of it is it will likely require a different material, but we could work with the aesthetic of it to make it appear very, very similar. I don't know. You want to speak to that one?
I mean, am I misreading the ordinance or?
Mr. Zegley, it doesn't have to exactly match the wall, I wouldn't think, but, oftentimes we've seen louvered walls up there
Okay.
because of the airflow. It's
Okay.
often, been accepted in the
Go ahead.
past.
Good evening. My name's Michael Malone. I am with CI Design. We're the architectural consultant. And Neil just hit on it. So we do have metal panel systems that are part of the administrative part where you see the orange and the brown. So this would be a metal material as well. But because of the nature of the equipment up on the roof, it needs airflow and it's dissipating heat. And so by providing a louver system, it allows visual screening as well as air movement to pass through that system.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Other question I had was the height of the lights. I thought I saw somewhere in here you were proposing 28-foot lights, but the ordinance says 25?
25, Mr. Zegley, at close reading is for commercial, commercial gas stations, things like that. I mean, it's, to me, the lower the better. So, I mean, I don't think it's out of your purview to ask for lower light
Okay, would that be a problem?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Sorry, I can
if you could make that 25 feet, that'd be great. Okay. We talk about the plantings and so forth. It says once they reach full maturity, they'll mature most. Will these be 6-foot trees? Is that kind of what we're planning to put in, or do we have any idea what they'll look like initially?
Sorry, this is Travis Frank Bowler, landscape architect.
Yes, everyone. My name is Travis Frank. Yes, I'm with Bowler, landscape architect. So the number, there's a lot of different trees that we were proposing on site. So they range in terms of like large deciduous trees all the way down to like understory trees. And the reason for that is because the larger the trees, they screen up higher, but they tend to leave like volume down below that's not screened. That's where like the evergreens and the understory trees will help kind of pick up that screening in nature.
Okay.
So they do range in size. The largest trees that we have are like 50 to 70 at their max height, and the smallest trees, they kind of range in terms of like how low they branch, but they'll be like 15 to 20 all the way up to like 30 foot, so it'll cover the gambit.
But what is the height of the tree when you plant it?
Oh, so they're usually installed around 10 to 12 foot tall when they're first installed, and then they'll, depending on their growth rate, they'll
Okay,
exceed
so
that, yeah.
relatively good sized tree.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is maybe an odd question to ask at this point, but I look at your diagram there, and people are a little concerned about generators and the noise that they make and so forth. Why would you not turn that building around so that the generators faced each other and you kept the noise inside?
So specifically for this campus, it's using a model where we don't have to use as much water. It's closed. It's a different cooling system. So with that, there's a lot of heat dissipation concerns with that. So we want to space out so the orientation, keeping them away from public view, right? So facing Plan East, but then also spacing them out as much as possible helps with heat dissipation, so that when blowing it off the tops of those generators, we were making sure it doesn't carry over to the next. It can cause failures in the system.
Okay,
Because right now this is contemplated as like a closed cooling system.
okay, so it's a mechanical efficiency
Correct.
issue?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. The last question I had is, can we go back to show the picture of the building with the panels on the side of it and so forth? Yeah, okay, so if go to the previous one. I'm sorry, the other way. There you go. So you talked about 3 different types of panels. Now go back to the picture. Yeah, I kind of only see 2. And I guess my point is, I'm not sure why we need 3 different types of panels. I know we're trying to make it so it's not a big, we're trying to break it up a little bit, but if we've got like 3 different types of panel, I'm seeing stripes all over the building. So, I mean, this looks good to me, where you have a consistent color and then a small break, and then a consistent color and a small break. So I'm not sure, why is it 3 different types of panels?
You wanna take that off?
It is a good question. What we are obviously trying to do is break up the building
Right.
of the mass of the building, as you understand. If you go to the flat elevations, it might be a little bit easier to see.
Okay.
So what we've done is we haven't uniformly dispersed those colors. So we have thin bands versus larger bands, if you will. So to avoid that racing stripe effect that you're discussing. And it's just one more way for us to play with, how do we take this big building and start to break it down so it's not so clunky. So you can see, for instance, you've got tan colors and then you've got sort of a light gray color. So those would be where we have the different finishes to help
So that
break
looks to me
up.
like 2 colors. Looks like tan and a light gray.
And then you've got, there is one more in there. I think you see it, it's that dark gray. It's a very thin band to the left of the light grays. Do you see that dark band?
Okay.
So there's one
Okay.
more carefully hidden in there. But again, we're playing with the saturation and the amount of it. So as we get darker, we pull that back so it doesn't become overwhelming.
Okay. Yeah,
And it's just-
that looks okay.
You're okay with
I
that,
was
okay.
concerned that we're gonna have, 3 different stripes, then 3 more stripes and so forth.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. It starts to look like an elementary school when you apply that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, I had some questions about the lights and stuff too. I was concerned about the height and everything like that. One thing in the site, or I don't know if it's a site plan, but the plan for the lighting in there, it talks about the maintenance of those lights and the trimming of the trees and stuff. Does that language pertain to the screening trees on the perimeter or just the interior trees?
No, it would just be the ones that would interfere with the actual lighting
Okay.
in the operational areas.
Okay. And then I guess I'm curious too, why is the gate set so far back into the property like it is and not just at the entrance?
Yeah, mainly to receive vehicles. There's a process for them to badge in and get checked into security. And, we don't want anyone backing out on the roadway. The proximity to Germanna Highway, even though we do have Rabbit Run, it's just better operationally, just make sure we get people off the roads and we're not.
Is that gate manned 24/7 or is that,
It will depend on the end operator, but usually, yeah.
okay. Yeah, that's all I had.
Okay. Mark, anything? Okay, go ahead.
I just had a question. Fencing on site, it looks like there's a fence around the gatehouse and stuff like that. Do you have a picture of what that looks like?
I do, but might not be in the presentation right now. It is an Ameristar fence, is a typical brand. It may not specifically be that on this plan, but it would look very, very similar. It's pretty commonplace for a data center campus like this. It's a nice metal fence. It's not chain link or anything that would rust away.
Just like, band and the cop and the
Correct.
tickets.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm just curious. It's like black,
Yep,
I suppose.
that's exactly right.
Thank you.
All right. When we look at that height of the building again is,
It's roughly 60 feet.
and the berms that you say that were gonna be there?
So right now we have a different topography features, but right now we do not have any berms along either road frontage. We can look into adding those as long as they don't impede on. There is some existing infrastructure, like I mentioned, the power lines along Germanna, that we can't pull those power lines down, and they serve people in the town right now, so we can't really affect those power lines. So we could look at adding in berming coming up from Germana and then grading it back down and help further. But at the moment, the site plan doesn't currently contemplate that. That's something we could.
'Cause I
look
think that's what we normally, Neil, we normally berm those things and then, because my next question was in reference to the screen and, you know, whether everyone brings us in a real nice picture, how it's supposed to look.
Yeah.
But then we have a drought like we're having right now and no
Mm-hmm.
one has a backup plan.
Yeah, that's
No
fair.
one has a backup plan. So, so you don't have any berming at all?
Not at the moment, no. It is something that we can look to implement into the site plan, specifically along Germana. I think that's an area where the topography probably gives some flexibility to do that. As we get to what's on plan, the north side and the east side, it is a little bit more challenging. The site drops off to that stream that I mentioned, which is why we have the ponds there to drain into that stream, keep that hydraulically active and all that. But we could look at adding berming along Germana and to the greatest extent possible along Rabbit Run. When you get down Rabbit Run, it starts to fall off. The topography starts to fall off quite a bit too. But we could certainly look at adding that into Germana.
Yeah, you all are taking one of the, you don't know how it got the name Rabbit Run,
No.
but that's where you used to go hunt and there
Yeah.
was nothing but rabbits there. And as I watched everything disappear, I was like, but, you know, things are changing. So before the berman, you have just the screen and you have that now as the trees and all?
Yeah, correct.
So if we put berm in there, then trees would kind of be on
yeah, we would
on
plant
that
on
to help
top of
us
the
out
berm.
some.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it won't just, you know, catch your eyes.
Mhm.
Have a little help there.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I
All
don't
right.
have a problem doing that.
Okay. Oh, sure.
It does say in here that you're gonna have the finished grade would rise approximately 10 feet from the entrance corridor.
Mhm.
So although it may not be a berm, at least it's gonna go up.
Yeah.
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 I'll look
Anything else?
to
Yeah.
Get them more that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the berm with the trees.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll look to create as much of a berm there as I possibly can. There is like you mentioned, there is some grade change I'm dealing with there on the site, across the site. But I'll add in the berming as much as possible.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Okay. All right. Have any other questions, Phil? No? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, at this time, the chair if there's no further discussion, we entertain. No, public hearing. Yeah, not for the ARB. We'll be okay. So if there's no other discussion, then we, chair entertain a motion for the certificate of appropriate.
I'd like to make a motion to grant the certificate of appropriateness to App Bowler Engineering as required by Article 30 of the zoning ordinance for the design of a data center campus in the entrance corridor overlay district in accordance with Article 30-3-2.1.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'd like to, I guess we would need to amend the motion to add the berm and the other items associated with it if you want to remake the motion.
The light height and the berm.
The light height, the
Okay.
berm, and I'd also like to see the gap in the trees or the existing landscaping shown.
Do you agree to the amendment?
Sure.
Okay, all right. So then probably moving second.
Second.
Any other discussion? Being none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Okay. We will send it forward with a recommendation of approval. Okay, thank you.